Brainbuster Pro anniversary show here in South Florida, Pompano Beach, the Elks Lodge. Good times, great crowd. I'll tell you what, reason why they had a great crowd tonight, one of the reasons, this man. He's been in WWE, TNA, he's been in Japan, he's been everywhere, and he's a South Florida guy, trained here, grew up here. Come on, MVP. MVP, what's it been like coming back to South Florida and being a part first of this big anniversary show?
You know, I gotta tell you, every time I get a chance to come back home, it's always a beautiful thing, you know, because as you noted, I started here, you know, I trained here, and I was so fortunate that there were so many guys that had been around, guys like, you know, Dave Johnson, the Black Heart, Fidel to Slam. You know, these are the guys that, you know, Soul Man Alex G, Norman Smiley, you know, Primetime. These are the guys that molded me and taught me, and you know, were a huge part of the reason that I was able to be so successful. So tonight it was like a homecoming, and you know, everybody came out. You came out, you know, Dwayne Long, you know, all the old faces came out. That means the world to me.
What things have you been doing? What's going on in your career right now?
You know, it's beautiful. I'm at an awesome sweet spot because I was so fortunate that I had the WWE run that I did. You know, I left on my terms. I left WWE to go to Japan to realize my dream of wrestling in Japan. And then I left Japan and had a stint with TNA. And you know, I've had enough TV time and I've accomplished enough in the business that I'm at a point in my career now where I don't have to be contractually obligated to anyone. You know, I have a son now, he's 2 years old, and you know, I only work on the weekends. And during the week, I can spend time with my son and pretty much live life on my terms. I'm working on it, I'm taking my time, but in about a year, I'm hoping, if everything works out, to open up a bar in Houston. And I finally started working on that book that I've been talking about, so I'm just at a beautiful point right now. It's really nice.
You've had such an incredible career, and from where you were to where you became, how important is that? You just said you have a 2-year-old now. Just how important is that for that life lesson and being part of an inspiration to a lot of people?
You know, just tonight there were a few guys that came to me and talked to me about knowing my story, where I've come from, and what an inspiration I've been to them. And, you know, life's all about peaks and valleys. You know? And I tell people all the time, you can't appreciate the peaks unless you've experienced the valleys. And, you know, I've been to the top of the mountain and I've been down at the bottom of the gutter. So I'm able to appreciate things so much more in a different way. And you know, now with my son, you know, I can take my life experience and pass it on to him, and you know, hopefully head some things off in the past with him, you know. But you know, when he was a baby and he was teething, he used to teethe on one of my action figures, you know. And you know, as a father, you know, just my son uses one of my action figures as a teething ring, you know. So there's a beautiful poeticism in that, you know.
MVP, it was so important for you to, not only did you come up with the MVP, you were able to keep the MVP. Not so many people were able to do that when they go with WWE. Talk a little bit about that and how you were able to come up with that and then being able to be MVP no matter where you go.
Well, the cool thing is, when I was trying, you know, I had several trials for WWE, and John Laurinaitis, who at that time was Vice President of Talent Relations, said, "We like you, we don't have anything for you. Come up with something we don't already have and get back to me." And I used to work out on South Beach doing nightclub security and bodyguard work. And I was struck with the idea one night, wait a minute, you know, I see all these pompous, self-absorbed pro athletes that feel like the world owes them something. And every week you can turn on SportsCenter and there's some pro athlete that's doing something or saying something stupid. And that hasn't been done in pro wrestling yet, you know. So, you know, you can take, you know, Deion Sanders and Rod Tidwell and, you know, all of these, you know, Ron Artest. You just take any one of these over-the-top personality pro athletes and put them in a pair of wrestling boots, and I thought, bam, that's the idea. I brought it to WWE. They loved it, and I was very fortunate, and I have to give them credit that the deal we worked out, they allowed me to maintain the ownership of the whole MVP persona. So we worked out a deal where they could use it, but they acknowledge that it's my intellectual property. And I'll always be grateful for that because they didn't have to do that. And I was a young green guy. I would have went along with whatever deal, but they took care of me. So, and I'll always be grateful because, as you know, it was my dream to wrestle in Japan. And I had about a year left on my contract, and they were trying to re-sign me to a 5-year deal. And I expressed that I wanted to leave so that I could experience my dream of wrestling in Japan. And Vince McMahon said, "Okay, we'll do it." And the door's open here whenever you want to come back. And I haven't made it back, but as you said, I've been fortunate. I've done WrestleMania, I've done Wrestle Kingdom, I've done Bound for Glory. The only thing left is Triple Mania, so I got to get down to Mexico so I can bat for the cycle. But Rey Mysterio is a good friend of mine, so I don't think that'll be impossible. So.
I will ask you about a couple questions. Let you go. WrestleMania, it's coming up. It's going to be in Orlando. It's always a great time. What are your experiences? What do you remember about WrestleMania?
Oh, wow. I tell people all the time, my dream was Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I experienced that. My goal was WrestleMania, and
those are two different things too. If you think about it,
yeah.
A goal and a dream.
You got a goal. We have goals and we have dreams, and I was fortunate that I was able to achieve both. And Chris Benoit was my favorite wrestler. He was the guy that I wanted to be like. And when I used to bounce at the nightclubs and be at my post, in my head, I was a million miles away in Japan wrestling Chris Benoit. And to be able to stand in a WrestleMania ring across from Chris Benoit for the United States Championship was surreal. It was like, I was waiting for the prison guard to come kick my bunk and wake me up from the dream. But it happened. And to be on the biggest stage in the biggest company, on the biggest wrestling show of the world, multiple times, it's humbling. And I will always be grateful for those opportunities. My man Primetime Daryl D, who you know, another South Florida Indian guy, he's the guy that introduced me to pro wrestling. He was a correctional officer. We've had this discussion. I was an inmate, and he said, "Hey, when you get out, I'll teach you." And one day in his garage, he was making making copies of some cassette tapes that I was trying to send out to get booked in different places. And I told him, I said, "Mark my words, one day you will see me at a WrestleMania." And when WrestleMania was in Orlando, as we talked about, I called him up and I said, "If you leave right now, you can make it in time for WrestleMania. I got 2 floor seats for you." And I fulfilled my promise. Primetime came and he got a chance to see me in the Money in the Bank ladder match in WrestleMania in Orlando. So it's been a hell of a ride, man.
MVP, it's incredible, and you've had so many career highlights, and you've worked hard. You've always worked for everything. Nothing was given to you. You worked hard. I have to ask you this, though. I see this shirt that you have on. All right. So I know what the shirt is, but tell us about the shirt.
This shirt right here that I'm wearing right now. I'm here tonight at Brainbuster Pro Wrestling, and the 2 founders of Brainbuster Pro Wrestling, Johnny Ortagun and Craig Classic. Craig Classic started at CCW, and I was there his very first day when he started training. Johnny Ortagun, I knew as Johnny Vandal, the 3rd Vandal. He was like 16 years old. And years later, I'm walking down the street in Tokyo. I turn a corner, I bump into Craig. He's the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion. It's like, whoa, damn, kudos to you, bro. I was over there wrestling for New Japan. And then, fast forward, baby Johnny Vandal is now doing stuff for NXT, and he's getting looked at, and he's established a name for himself. And these 2 guys founded Brainbuster Pro Wrestling. And tonight is their 1-year anniversary. And they hit me up and they said, "Hey man, it's a 1-year anniversary. We'd like to do something big. Can you come home?" And absolutely, I'll always come home because I never forget where I'm from. That kid from the dog track said, "Hey, Mr. Barcelona, I just want to introduce myself to you. Remember me, you're going to know my name."
You were right. And you were right. And oh my gosh, I'll never forget that too, because it's just one of those things where you're like, wait a minute, wait, did this guy just say this? You're just a fan. You're really at the dog track. We have to say this though. The dog track, there was a pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view, or WWF pay-per-view, whatever at the time and all like that. And you're one of the people watching it, and you're just walking by and saying, "Hey, that's going to be me someday." And it's like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, sure, kid. All right,
yeah, we'll see. And then it's like, holy crap, he did it.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to you and for the hard work that you put in and putting your mind to it. Please
Always be a positive, taking care of indie wrestling here in South Florida has, a long, wrestling in Florida has a rich and honored tradition. And, these guys here at Brainbuster Pro Wrestling and other South Florida promotions are keeping it alive. And thank you for covering it and, keeping it in everybody's vision and, letting everybody know what's going on. And if you're watching this, support indie wrestling. Because if you like wrestling, all of your favorite wrestlers, the good ones, actually came from the independents. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, all those guys started in Elks Lodges and VFW halls. So support independent wrestling. Go buy the ticket, have a good time, up close and personal. They're all broke indie wrestlers trying to make it. Buy a T-shirt, buy an 8x10, support them, help them out. And one day, one of the guys that you take a picture with one afternoon might be headlining WrestleMania. It's happened. I saw it.
You saw it, you witnessed it. It's MVP. Thanks, MVP.
Thank you, Jimmy.